my name is Annie, and today I'll be helping you out with writing a response to AP English Literature and Composition. Alright, so question 1. We have about 40 minutes. In Richard Blanca's poem Shaving, published in 1998, the speaker writes about the act of shaving. Read the poem carefully, then in a well-written essay, analyze how Blanca uses literary elements and techniques to develop the speaker's complex associations with the ritual of shaving. So already here we could be informed that even though we're talking about a mundane activity of shaving, that the speaker's complex associations with this practice is going to make it special. I'm not shaving, I am writing about it, and I conjure the most elaborate idea how my beard is a creation of silent labor. So we have this declaration that the beard is a creative output, like ocean steam rising to form clouds. So already we have a use of extended metaphor here that alludes to nature. The bloom of spider webs each morning, the discreet mystery of how whiskers grow, like the drink roses take from the vase, or the fall of fresh rain becoming a river and then rain again so silently. I'm gonna highlight in blue the use of alliteration. I think of all these slow and silent forces. And here we see the conclusion to this first stanza, how quietly my father's life passed us by. So here already we have the use of anaphoric, repetition of I, focusing on the personal and intimate experience. Second, we have extended metaphor, especially of nature, that suggest the cycle of regeneration, we also see the use of sibilance, which is an alliteration that starts with S. It's the soft, like hushing sound. Lastly, we see how the act of shaving conjures the image of father and son relations and unavoidable mortality. So right away, I'll get to writing the thesis statement. Through the use of anaphoric repetition, extended metaphor, and alliteration, the central message of the poem Shaving is the theme of familial inheritance, as the act of shaving reminds the speaker of his deceased father and how he has the inheritance of his father's physical features. As we could see, his legacy of whiskers that grow like black seeds sewn over my cheek again alliteration, and chin, my own flesh. So the theme of familial inheritance and generational succession, as well as inevitable human mortality. Basic rule of thumb for composing a body paragraph is to follow the outline of T, C, A. Topic sentence. Provide context that will buttress the topic sentence. Analyze the context or the given evidence that you've chosen from this passage. All right, so we're looking at question 2. Here we could see a list of works that we could use as examples, but it also says here that you could choose something that you've read before. Let's look at the prompt right away. So, many works of literature feature characters who accept or reject a hierarchical structure. This hierarchy may be social, economic, political, or familiar, or it may apply to some other kind of structure. So choose something on the writing or the list. Then in a well-written essay, analyze how a character's response to hierarchy contributes to an interpretation of the work as a whole. So basically, in other words, talk about how a character's response, whether it's an acceptance or rejection or partial acceptance or maybe an impartial treatment to the hierarchy contributes to the main top subject or theme of the work. Actually, I am planning to use something that I've read before. It's not a completely random choice because the writer that I will be discussing for this work, his name is Chang-rae Lee, and he is the author of the work On Such a Full Sea. But I'm going to discuss his more well-known work. So first, let's strategize. For about 5 minutes, we have about 40 minutes, right? I'm going to choose a work and angle. So I already chosen Chang-rae Lee, novel, native speaker. Now I'm going to try to craft a thesis statement. So I'm going to discuss Henry Park, the Korean American protagonist in Lee's novel demonstrates a steady but ongoing or persistent resistance to the notion that only Caucasian American born citizens qualify as native. So basically, this hierarchical structure that Henry is rebelling against would be the linguistic an ethnic barrier that excludes non-whites and bilinguals. There, we have just provided a defendable thesis. Moving on, we are going to craft 2 big body paragraphs. You could craft third, but it's optional. First, I'm going to look at how initially Henry feels a tense struggle against stereotypical biases against his race, and feels the need to perform perfect native English. However, in the second, we'll transition. Despite his initial belief that he should conform to nationalistic standards, of nativeness, Henry, and then I'm going to talk about the shift in his convictions. Henry later resists the communal exclusion against the Korean American community. And then I'll demonstrate how certain elements in the plot or how the description of his character development portray how at first he felt the pressure to conform to certain ideals of being a native English speaker. Later, he decides that it's not just about mock performance, but it's about acceptance of his roots and of his marginalized status without the feeling of self-defeat.